Here's what's coming up on your horizon. 1,320. That's the number of days it took from when the largest tornado ever recorded wiped out a tech center in El Reno to its official reopening this month. It's been a journey that taught students, teachers, and members of the community all lessons in tenacity.
I'm just as proud, or more proud maybe even, of the way that our faculty, our staff, our kids, our students, the public, our communities, the way they rallied around us and performed at the level that they performed. I'm really proud. That's a legacy right there.
Go West, young man is a phrase often credited to the American author and newspaper editor Horace Greeley. This week on Oklahoma Horizon, we'll meet a new generation of trailblazers.
He just says, "Hey Richard, would you like to go to Sierra Leone?" I didn't even know where Sierra Leone was. It just kind of one thing led to another, and then I found myself on an airplane on our way to Sierra Leone.
Stay with us for Oklahoma Horizon.
Oklahoma Horizon is made possible by Career Tech, a job for every Oklahoman and a workforce for every company. With additional support from the Oklahoma Department of Agriculture, Food, and Forestry.
Hello everyone, thanks for joining us here on Horizon. I'm Rob McClendon. Well, it'll be 4 years this May since the largest tornado ever recorded cut a path just west of El Reno. 4 storm chasers caught off guard by the storm's immense size lost their lives that day. And the town's career tech, well, it took a direct hit. But despite the damage, school went on. Today, we begin with the long road to recovery for our Canadian Valley Technology Center. May 31st, 2013 is a day that's gone down in weather history. A killer tornado 2 miles wide with winds over 300 miles an hour.
It was unreal, unbelievable.
The Canadian Valley Tech Center in El Reno destroyed. High-tech equipment strewn around like garbage.
My first reaction was, what a shame. It's been such a great school for 40 some odd years, 42, 43 years, and then in just a matter of less than a minute, you got a lot of history and a lot of blood, sweat, and tears is just basically wiped out, just that quick. And it just going to shock, to be real honest about it. It's probably the only way you can survive stuff like that is your body and your brain just kind of takes over. But it was tough. I'll tell you, really, really tough.
But not insurmountable.
We had a responsibility to have school on August 15th, and we started school on August 15th.
Greg Winters is the superintendent of the Canadian Valley Career Tech District and says what his staff did over the next 75 days was nothing short of remarkable, picking up the pieces of what could be saved and moving them to a new temporary location.
This was the old car dealership showroom. Currently, it is a math classroom over in that corner. We've put walls up here to make the cosmetology classroom and to make another additional math classroom over there so that we have space for all our classes. And we still don't have enough rooms.
But turning a once closed business into a technology center in just 75 days was neither cheap nor easy.
When we came into this building, we had to run 1,200 amps of brand new 480 three-phase electricity. There were 600 amps in the building. We needed 1,800 amps. We had to run 18,000 linear feet of Cat6 cable to hook up 400 computers. We had to, grab the fiber optics from the Bank of Oklahoma location across the street. That's a Cox connection. It's high-speed internet, which is vital. Which is vital. I mean, you just have to have it, and so there was a lot of things that went our way. We had a lot of great people that just did an incredible job. I mean, they really did. And you've got a really good staff, but then you put them in a situation that we were put in, and it makes you kind of proud to be the superintendent of Canadian Valley, quite frankly.
And with classes underway in every nook and cranny of their temporary campus in Yukon, the cleanup in El Reno, well, it turned into a campus rebuild that led to this. Governor Spallon spoke to those gathered, many key players in keeping this school open throughout the hardships.
Well, the rebuilding of Canadian Valley Technology Center fits in with all that's great about Oklahoma, the Oklahoma Standard, the Oklahoma Strong. Anytime we face adversity, we see the community come together, the people come together, we pull, we get the job done, and we make good things happen.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It took a lot of hard work on a lot of people's parts, a lot of determination, just being vested in what our mission is, and the fact that education empowers people, and knowing that and believing in that, it just allowed us to accomplish what we needed to accomplish.
Now later this spring, we'll bring you a full documentary on Canadian Valley's road to recovery. But when we return, I have their superintendent give me a look around.
You're watching Oklahoma Horizon with Rob McClendon. Weekly insight into your changing world.
Well, to say that Canadian Valley Tech Center Superintendent Greg Winters is proud of the new El Reno campus is a bit of an understatement, but for good reason. Demolished by the largest tornado ever on record, the campus reopened for the spring semester, and Dr. Winters took us for a tour.
It was total destruction, basically. I mean, we had 9 buildings the night of the tornado. When I left, they were standing. When I got back a couple hours later, 7 of those buildings were completely destroyed. The other 2 were pretty much destroyed. We were able to, use infrastructure, slab floor and columns and roof deck and that kind of stuff to rebuild. But for all intents and purposes, the total campus was totally destroyed.
Yeah, and in this building there has been a lot of rebuild, but
Yes.
right outside those doors, it was completely gone.
Well, the 7 programs that were totally destroyed, 7 buildings that were totally destroyed, we took all of the programs out of those 7 buildings, put them all under one roof, and attached them to the original building. Before, the buildings were all spread out and detached and those kinds of things. I had a goal. I wanted our kids to be able to walk from building to building, not get wet, inclement weather, and those kinds of things. But also, we've got a series of safe rooms built throughout this facility. We want our kids to have access to those safe rooms, all of our community to have access to those safe rooms in the event that, God forbid, we'd have another incident like we had on May 31st, 2013.
Yeah, well, let's go look at those classrooms. Okay. So this is the new welding shop. I am curious about what's overhead.
That overhead, Rob, is an overhead 5-ton crane. A lot of the folks that we train for out in our district, all of those big manufacturers have these overhead cranes. We're going to design curriculum where we teach these kids, our high school kids and young adults, to operate this 5-ton overhead crane. So when they go to work, and that's our job, is to put them to work, when they go to work for the big manufacturers over on the east side of our district, west side of Oklahoma City, that day one, they walk in, they're a certified overhead crane operator, and they're able to be a productive employee day one when they go to work.
I know there's just so much more to see than we have time for today, but this is something you have to be proud of.
Oh, I'm absolutely just thrilled. It was hard getting here. I mean, what we've been through the last 3.5 years was tough. I'm not going to sugarcoat that because it was hard. What we've been through, temporary facilities, limited equipment, limited opportunities, limited enrollment. We've had more state champions and more national champions from Canadian Valley Technology Center in the last 3 years than we've had in the history of Canadian Valley. And so when you think about that, you think about the professionalism of our staff, you think about the quality of students that our sending schools, our partner schools are sending to us, and for our kids to perform at that level under really not very good circumstances. Adversity, absolutely. And their perseverance and their willingness to work hard and be here every day and perform at a high level. To me, that's the part I'm most proud of. Yeah, this is a great facility. It's state of the art. I mean, we have stuff here that's probably better than anybody in the country, to be real honest about it. And I'm proud of that. Don't think for a minute I'm not. But I'm just as proud, or more proud maybe even, of the way that our faculty, our staff, our kids, our students, the public, our communities, the way they rallied around us and performed at the level that they performed. I'm really proud. That's a legacy right there.
Still to come on Oklahoma Horizon, a life abroad. But first, today's trailblazers.
Well, more than a third of Americans between 18 and 31 are currently living with their parents, according to a recent Pew Research report. That's a record 21.6 million millennials still living at home, a number that's reflective of several factors, one of which is unemployment remains high for newly minted college graduates. But the young people in our next segment have literally gone to the ends of the earth for a job. Expat is short for the word expatriate, that describes anyone who's a citizen of one country but chooses to work in another. It's an interesting career option and one that a growing number of young people are taking. In a team report, we meet some young trailblazers whose career options lie abroad. Austin Moore starts us off.
College was an eye-opening experience for Matt Paget.
I became good friends with a group of Indian students, and I'll remember they invited me to the International Student Organization's International Dance Party, and it was like having your world kind of like totally shifted.
Originally focused on medicine, Paget found his international interest pushed his education in a new direction.
In a lot of developing countries, the problem is they don't have enough food, they have a lack of clean water. You know, that's really more of an economics situation.
So Matt got his master's in agricultural economics before heading overseas. Today, he teaches economics to high school students in China's Shandong province.
So as I've been able to, introduce ideas that maybe they don't see on the news, maybe things they don't hear in their house, and present questions and concepts that might challenge them as they go forth and potentially be leaders in China or abroad. And I think, that does have the power to change. And so I do think I am having a positive impact.
The State Department does not release specific numbers of non-military American citizens living and working abroad, but some estimates put the number at roughly 9 million. Clearly, stories like Paget's are not unique. In fact, they often share the common threads of passion and opportunity. These are the reason Tulsan Chloe Crocker found herself drawn to the East African country of Tanzania.
When I went there the first time, I was just overwhelmed by the people and how kind they are and how generous they are and the sense of community that they create.
Focused on educational programs, Crocker worked for 4-H Tanzania and then the Foundation for Tomorrow before moving on to Ghana and working for AgriCorps, an organization of agricultural volunteers created by former National FFA president and Oklahoma State graduate Trent McKnight.
AgriCorps is a Peace Corps type organization that takes young American agriculture professionals, young people with a background with a college degree in agriculture, 4-H or FFA experience and production agriculture background to be ag teachers, working with young people in developing countries with the purpose of transferring agriculture technology through youth into adult farming populations, much like agriculture development happened in this country over 100 years ago.
And development work such as this is a common role for Americans working in the developing world, and for good reason.
No matter what your skill set is, there's a way that you can contribute in a developing country. If you are a contractor, or you are an expert in finance, or you are a teacher, there are a million different ways that you can contribute over there. And so, yeah, there's a lot of diversity and job opportunities.
But the nature of the developing world is that it is developing. And so opportunity goes well beyond charity.
People are recognizing that Africa has a competitive economy. They're the fastest growing economy in the world. And they have a lot of opportunity for business and investment. And so they need more people like that who are coming in to Africa and not seeing it as a place in need, but seeing it as an opportunity to create.
People like Tyler Schooley.
Once you figure out how it works, there's a lot of opportunity to exploit from a business standpoint and then also from a social impact standpoint, where there's a lot of people still in need, and especially in need of jobs.
Schooley has Rocket Africa, supplying promotional items in Uganda, Kenya, and Rwanda.
So we serve some of the top brands in East Africa. These are telecom companies, these are beverage companies, and large beer brands, as well as fuel companies and banks. I really want to position us to be a Pan-African company, so I'm seeing where we can serve multinational brands across the continent.
Though Schooley warns, translating a U.S. business model to Eastern Africa is no small task.
It's tough. And it's a steep learning curve. Lots of failures, small failures after small failure, just trying to figure out how it works, because it's an entirely different landscape to navigate, and it only comes with time and experience that you really learn how to navigate it efficiently.
Learning that doesn't stop with business skills.
Anytime you remove yourself from your comfort zone, then you are going to change as a person, change your views, meet amazing people that you would never meet before. In addition to that, you will have something on your resume that is so completely unique and have developed skills like being flexible, learning how to work with people that are totally different from you in some ways, learn how to work in a culture that's not your own. And those are skills that are irreplaceable and can fit into any organization or job you do after that.
You know, does it make career look different? Yeah, possibly. And does it make certain things more difficult? Yeah, it might. But I think in the long run, you'll never say, oh, I wish I hadn't gone to this place or I hadn't traveled here. You know, you're always going to say, oh, I wish I had taken that opportunity. What would my life look like if I had visited this place?
And sometimes there are other rewards.
I was definitely ready to kind of start coming back and seeing what life had for me here in the United States. And I met a girl. Her name is Zhang Li. Her English name is Lily, and I was like, you know, I think I need to stay here a little bit longer. And as we got to know each other over the next month or two, I said, you know, I think this is the woman I want to spend the rest of my life with. And so we've been together for 3 years. We just got married in May, and so that's kind of, you know, why I've been in China for the past 5 years.
Perhaps the greatest adventure of them all.
Horizon is at your fingertips. Join us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube to catch the segments you may have missed and our latest new content as it happens.
Well, working abroad might be the road less traveled, not to mention difficult and challenging in many ways, but it could also be the road most rewarding. Richard Moore is an OSU graduate who took an unlikely opportunity to go on a trip to Africa, and since then has found himself unable to stay away for very long. Blaine Singletary tells us the story of his life's work in progress.
Richard Moore was just like any undergrad in college, trying to figure out exactly what he was going to do in his professional life, meeting with his academic advisor.
I went in and sat down in his office, and we were talking about classes I was going to enroll in. I was wanting to switch to horticulture. We were kind of talking through some of that.
But whatever plans and dreams he had at the time, they probably didn't include Africa.
And he just says, hey Richard, would you like to go to Sierra Leone? And that was just like this crazy thought or question to me, because I didn't even know where Sierra Leone was. It just kind of one thing led to another, and then I found myself in 2011 on our way to Sierra Leone.
This OSU study abroad trip had these agricultural students working with a local orphanage to install drip irrigation systems and teach African students the basics of agriculture. Despite the hardships that came with it, those 2 weeks left a big impression on Moore.
It changed my outlook, it changed my perspective on life, and after I came back I started thinking about it more, talking with my advisor more about it, and then just 9 to 10 short months later, I was leading another OSU trip back to Sierra Leone.
And that was followed up by a move to Sierra Leone in August 2012 to chase a few business ventures. Unfortunately, those fell through. And as the Ebola outbreak began to pick up steam in 2014, it was clear that Richard and his new native wife, Christiana, wouldn't be able to stay there. And with his wife's visa request still being processed, they couldn't go back to the U.S. either.
So we really explored our options and what we could do, and we ended up booking 2 tickets to Ghana. Didn't really have anything to do in Ghana. We didn't know anyone in Ghana. It was just a safer country that we could travel to, just on a whim and a prayer. I mean,
And then, just days before he was set to depart,
When I saw a Water 4 post that said Matt Hangen, the Director of Implementation, was going to be in Ghana, I had a crazy thought. I said I should call him and just see if there's any opportunities or possibilities for me to volunteer or work for Water 4 in Ghana for a few months while we're waiting for my wife to get her visa.
that crazy thought became a long-standing relationship with Water 4 that continues to this day. Water 4 is a nonprofit based out of Oklahoma City that comes up with enterprise-based solutions to end the world water crisis.
And what that means is we're training local entities, local entrepreneurs, business owners, and NGOs how to drill wells through training. So we're teaching these enterprises how to drill wells, how to go out into communities and be the change in their own community.
Today, Richard is the implementation manager of Water 4, overseeing their grassroots programs all over Africa. He and his wife live on a plot of land just outside of Stillwater, Oklahoma. And aside from his main job with Water 4, they run an Airbnb and sell homemade goods like jelly and jams to make a little extra money. Just looking around his home, it's not hard to see how much Sierra Leone has changed his life. And he says it could do the same for many others who were in his shoes years ago.
I mean, right now, there's just so much opportunity in Africa. Africa is booming and it's expanding and it's growing. So there are opportunities to get into different, whether it be a nonprofit or a business.
Many African leaders are making sure that major cities are connected by paved roads, and companies from all over the world are taking notice. Africa is connected by cell towers more than ever before, meaning several sectors, especially IT, are booming.
So I can be out in the field in Africa drilling a water well and not see any houses, any communities, any roads, and I'm on 3G. So I'm drilling a well and I'm posting videos of the work that's going on while we're out in those villages or in those communities drilling a well.
But none of this would have happened if he hadn't taken that opportunity in the first place.
But I think that first short-term trip is usually what will either hook somebody or turn them away from working abroad. I really felt called to move to Sierra Leone after that. It's definitely not the most frequent path taken, but I think to a certain extent it would be the most rewarding path taken because of how eye-opening it is.
Well, to find out more about Water 4 and how you can get involved with their mission all over Africa, we have more information on our website at okhorizon.com. Well, it's not just young people packing their bags as a career option. More established workers are also looking to the international job market. Joining me now is Edith Chenault, who now teaches in Estonia. So, Edith, you worked in higher education here in the States. Why did you decide to make the change?
Well, I had traveled to Estonia several times on mission trips, and I got the opportunity to go and teach English over there. And so I was eligible for retirement, and I decided to do it.
So what's it like to not only work, but to live abroad?
It's great in a lot of ways. In a lot of ways, it can be stressful. You have the language barrier plus different types of culture and things like that. So that can be stressful, but there's other things that are just wonderful about living overseas.
So let me hear one of those. Any big surprises?
Well, I tell people I live in Gandalf land because the buildings are so old and there's so much history there. And the country itself is beautiful and has a ton of lakes and forest and things like that. And the pace of life there, particularly in Europe, is a lot slower than it is in the United States. I was a dog chasing its tail. And now I just do what I want to do, and just the pace is a lot slower.
So any advice for other people that might be hearing this that would think of maybe working abroad as a second or third career?
Well, make sure that you really want to do this. I had that network built up of family and friends here, and I had to rebuild it when I moved. And also make sure financially you can handle it. A country that you're thinking about moving to may look cheaper, but it may not be. You have to learn to laugh at yourself. You have to be humble. And if you don't handle stress well, I wouldn't recommend moving.
Well, Edith, I know this is a career pathway that you've chosen, and I certainly wish you the very best in it. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
Want to see more stories like this? All our segments are streaming on our YouTube channel at Oklahoma Horizon TV.
With interest rates heading up, what will that mean for housing in Oklahoma? Next time on Oklahoma Horizon, we take a look at the roof over our heads and the jobs they create.
I wake up every morning, I'm excited because there's something new I'm going to learn that's going to help me later on. And part of it was learning this is something that I'm not just going to learn so I can take a test. This is something I'm learning so I can be productive in society and life.
New trends in housing for the state on Oklahoma Show Over the Heartland, Oklahoma Horizon. Thanks for including us as part of your day. I'm Rob McClendon. Hope to see you back here next week.